Hey all, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about Docker and some of the issues I had when I was trying to deploy an application to an EC2 instance. Um, I'm assuming everybody watching this channel knows what Docker is. If you don't, it just allows you to containerize your application, so it becomes easier to move from, say, development to production or onto another machine. Um, yeah, and it solves that whole problem of it works on my machine, doesn't work on yours, and so on. Um, So yeah, in my case, I was working on a Django app locally, and so I had the usual Docker setup. So I had a Docker compose file, had Redis, it had um, Django, and it basically had another Postgres SQL service that was writing to like the volume. So in that sense, I had a proper functioning Postgres database and things like that. But in production, I wanted to kind of, when I say production, like once I deployed to an EC2 instance, I wanted to be able to control that database. So I didn't want like a service inside the container. I wanted it on the host machine. So I was like, okay, but how the hell do I connect a Docker to the host machine EC2 instance? And I thought, okay, maybe I'll use, yeah, I can use AWS's RDS. So I thought, no problem, set them up, and then realized it's quite expensive. AWS's RDS. Even though I wasn't actually using much, I noticed I had to pay like taxes and stuff like that. Um, so I was like, so in my head to Amazon, I'm like,
You might want to suck my nuts.
um, anyhow. So I thought to myself, okay, I've got the instance. Why not just install Postgres? So I installed Postgres on the instance itself. But then how do you connect Docker to Postgres on the host machine? That's where I got stuck. I mean, some of the um, solutions I found was to use, I think it's host.docker.internal as the host for the database, but that didn't work. Yeah, so I just want to show you what I did. Okay, so I just want to show you, if you run into this issue, what you can do is just run SSH into run any image and SSH into it, or create a container from the image, SSH into it, and then run IP route to figure out the default IP. And you'll see it's telling you the default is 172.17.0.1. And to show you, so I'm using that for my host. Yeah, in a Django app, I'm using that as the host. To show you that this actually works, notice in the auth, I've got, so this is my auth table. I've just got a local admin user. And to show you that it's actually saving, so this is on my host machine. What you see here is on my host machine. To show you that's actually saving here, if I go back to my local thing here and run it, and I go get started, it'll say sign in as Google with your Google account. So if I hit this and sign in, notice how I can chat away and whatever. I can chat away, right? That's fine. If I come back here, notice I've got a new account here, which means it's actually saved. It's using this database on the host machine. So if you do encounter that kind of issue, it's actually pretty straightforward to solve it. You do have to do some Postgres stuff, like allowing multiple IP addresses and things like that, allowing any IP addresses, and all the hosts, I think it is as well. But I wouldn't advise, if it's not a major application and it's your like a hobby project and stuff, yes, by all means go about doing it. So you need to also make changes to your Postgres database. So the first one you need to do is that there, and now allow everyone to listen. That listen addresses, you allow anybody to listen, any IP address basically. So that's one setting. The other one is this one here, that you need to change as well. So that is, I'm allowing everybody, any IP address, to connect to my database locally. Please be careful in production. Do not do this until you've checked with your DBA, or if you have security, I don't know, if you have security people or your tech lead or whatever. Don't do this. I'm doing this for my personal projects and it works, but I would be quite nervous to do this in production. I mean, if I had a proper SaaS, you know, website or product I was working on, I'll probably use RDS, but I'm just explaining how you can do it here. So that's what you need to change and allow anything. And then I showed you earlier that it actually connects. So that's how you basically connect a, let's assume it's a Django application in a Docker container, to the host Postgres, rather than having a image, a service or another container running Postgres, if that makes sense. So that's all for me. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. Yes, so in that video you saw how to connect a application from within Docker to a Postgres database running on the host machine. I found that useful, as I explained earlier. It saved me having to get an RDS. Postgres running on AWS as RDS. It kind of saved me a bit of money, especially on personal projects and stuff. It really helps. Yeah, that's all for today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.